Alright, hello everybody. Today we'll be watching Parlo's response from 6 days ago. If y'all don't know, Parlo's a YouTuber who exposed predators and he got into controversy, and this is his, video where he makes it so, he tries to declare that he's a good guy. So, let's watch it. This is my reaction. We're also going to be playing this game.
Alright, so I'm going to use this video to be as direct as possible to you, the viewer, and cover the entire situation that has transpired over the course of the past few weeks. While this situation was extremely personal and private to me, I feel it necessary to discuss what happened openly on this platform. I don't want to run or hide away from this situation. I just want to be clear and direct. And all I simply ask is that you watch this entire video all the way through before reaching any final conclusions. In this video, Sim debunk many of the lies and rumors being spread, prove my side of the story regarding Wolfgang with an overwhelming amount of evidence to prove that he is in fact guilty, and to be as open as possible about my situation so you can understand the story. I'm going to be completely transparent by displaying receipts showing that everyone is actively being refunded, while also proving that the money from the GoFundMe was only used for food and rent as advertised, not the ticket that many people have claimed. However, taking accountability regardless for being extremely negligent with my finances, and of course having broke the trust of my viewer base in the process by having been inherently deceptive in the way I presented my fundraiser. Although it was not malicious, it's absolutely worthy of criticism, and I'm not going to shy away from that. And just for clarity as well, full payment receipts and financial history will be provided in order to give the full context of the situation. I did absolutely mess up, and I don't want to avoid addressing this. Also, as a warning, this video covers very serious and personal topics pertaining to and emotional manipulation, specifically in reference to what I experienced from Wolfgang. So applicable resources will be linked in the description if you have found yourself in similar positions and wish to reach out for help to suitable people. Timestamps are also provided on screen right now for each chapter, so it's easier for navigation to view the parts that you wish to watch. I also, of course, wish to use this video to go over the complete timeline to do with me and Wolfgang, also known as Internet Jason, and tackle the lies and misinformation stemming from his terrible response video. I'm also going to be focusing on highlighting his extremely manipulative behavior, while also covering his pattern of alleged past misconduct with other people in 2024, his inappropriate actions towards Avalon, who was 17 at the time, while he himself was 21, and him threatening to sue them for coming out about his behavior. I will also highlight his extremely negligent behavior of openly posting in his Discord server, which contained numerous members, such as Avalon, who is high-rolled, being an admin, and Wolfgang openly admitting to attempting to steal material from another partner. I will also highlight his attempts to omit crucial context, hide and delete evidence, deflect blame to avoid accountability, and most importantly, him lying about me giving consent, and eventually conceding to acting on impulse without my permission, to which he admits to numerous times, and this is imperative to go over.
While we were doing stuff, I put my hand on his ass and he moved towards me, and that was I took that as it's okay.
Okay, so when you told me that you got an enthusiastic yes, that was a lie, right?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay. He didn't get consent. He just didn't get consent. He didn't get consent. That's the end of it. So, again, doesn't absolve you of any of the things that you admitted to. The fact that you did not have explicit consent for a lot of the things you originally said that you had explicit consent for.
Yeah.
That's really fucking creepy, and you really need to get that settled before you even have sex with another person again.
That's why
I will also be debunking numerous videos made by malicious users such as Save and Dr. Sonic, who have attempted to push false picture applications against me with either maliciously cropped or altered calls, or completely forged and fabricated videos. I will provide screenshots, admissions, unaltered screen recordings, and full evidence to prove that they have completely and maliciously lied to tens of thousands of people, as well as highlighting their criminal behavior during the harassment campaign against me and numerous other people. Because Safe admitted himself that he completely lied in leaked admissions that I have. This video will also focus on clearing apart many more false claims levied by other bad actors against me.
Sorry, y'all. Sweet dreams are made of fear. Who had a mind to disappear? Travel the world.
Disgusting and cruel Mugen's actions were in his process to sabotage and maliciously destroy my channel under false pretenses to hinder my ability to make a response video. I will do my best to censor explicit aspects of this situation, not only for viewer well-being, but also because it is extremely personal to me. However, just like with Quiet and how he responded to his separate situation, in certain parts of this video I will have to be open and fully transparent with what happened, because it serves as crucial context, so I do hope you understand that moving forward. Now, justifiably, many people are angry at me, and I don't fault them for that. However, some people are not treating this situation with the maturity and respect that it deserves. For the past few weeks, I've been receiving consistent threats, people wishing harm on me, disgusting images being made of me, dogs, spotting threats, and many people have come away misrepresenting the situation and outright stating that I'm a predator, which is just not the case. Wolfgang was 21 years old and born on March the 31st, 2004. Before engaging with him, I made sure to ID verify and confirm that he was above the age of 18. He is 13 months older than me, while I'm 20 myself. This case is not pedophilia whatsoever. It is, however, understandably embarrassing, as I will go on to highlight. As for my situation with Avalon, this as well will be entirely addressed and explained later on in the video, with full context being provided too. Between me and Avalon, there was a 2-year, 4-month age gap. He was 18, I was 20. Once again, not whatsoever. And unlike Wolfgang, I did not engage in sexual-based conversations with Avalon while he was still 17. Nor did I know Wolfgang even did this until I made my document on him. I only knew of Wolfgang's conduct with Avalon around October the 13th, when I confided with Avalon about the situation. And in late November, on the 25th, I received screenshots from Avalon proving that Wolfgang engaged with him inappropriately while he was still 17. This situation is absolutely worthy of criticism. I do not deny that whatsoever. But this topic has nothing to do with predator allegations. And this is something that Guamgo himself has made clear numerous times, and this was never once even alleged in his original video on me.
Just to
that makes
clarify,
sense,
nothing from this
Parlo,
situation involves
Mr. Parlo,
that accusation
but
is
the
not
court
true.
still
But
has
that
to
doesn't
decide.
excuse Parlo's behavior, the way he handled this, the details he made public, and how he treated the people trying to help him out. It was completely irresponsible. He's not a pedophile, but what he did was still completely unacceptable.
So, comparing this situation to the likes of actual ostracized predators like Fufio Kaneko Kitten does a disservice to their victims in the process, and people are even going as far as to compare me to the Austrian painter, showing a complete lack of maturity when it comes to this situation. Now, the first topic I wish to discuss is both the release of my document and the full context behind the GoFundMe situation, before I focus on picking apart Wolfgang's extremely manipulative response video and going into full detail on what actually happened between both me and him on the 11th of October to the 13th. So allow me to provide some quick context leading up to this. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, this all started due to a situation I had with another commentary YouTuber named Internet Jason, also known as Wolfgang, who is once again 21, older than me. This situation involved instances of me having felt pressured and pushed at times into engaging sexually with Wolfgang, despite me not reciprocating and my body language clearly showing how uncomfortable I was, which is also attested by Avalon, who was present in the Airbnb at the time. I also provided numerous screenshots corroborating this in personal messages, proving that I was disengaged, created excuses, or aired his requests to avoid these specific conversations. Wolfgang is also now on record admitting that he lied in certain instances where he claimed I gave consent, instead admitting that he acted on impulse without my explicit permission. That is definitively him admitting to sexual assault. There is no defense for that.
While we were doing stuff, I put my hand on his ass and he moved towards me. And that was I took that as it's okay.
Okay, so when you told me that you got an enthusiastic yes, that was a lie. Right?
Yeah.
Right. IA has admitted to basically everything. He's admitted to Impleton for not only lying to you, to all of us, which it is what it is. We all knew this, but also just lying about consent, which was the whole crux of everything. Was the whole crux of everything. He kept he sat here yelling at Parlo at Parlo's lowest points being like, you did consent. And then he's like, oh, yeah, guys, I really never got it.
Dude, for 3 fucking weeks as well.
I know,
Lying
man.
straight to Paulo's fucking face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, after this situation transpired on the 13th of October, Wolfgang was seen consistently going around to numerous commentary YouTubers behind the scenes immediately after, and either directly or indirectly referencing the situation in detail. Now, due to Wolfgang sharing this information, the story started to gradually gain the attention of other commentary orbiters, guaranteeing that this was going to be leaked at some point, with people planning to gear up to cover this when given the green light for it. I, however,
You know what? I'm making a time
not to
paradox
become a
at this
public
point.
spectacle because it covered extremely fragile topics in relation to me that I did not want out. Wolfgang, however, behind the scenes, attempted to push a close friend and mutual of mine, Avalon, to tell me to speak with him, causing Avalon to get extremely stressed in the process. So that same day, on the 8th of October, I was seen directly telling Wolfgang himself for both of us just to leave this situation alone and not escalate the problem, as it was extremely mentally draining and was putting a lot of pressure on me and my friends as well. However, despite us in private coming to an agreement to avoid having this become a public spectacle, Internet Adjacent, who wanted this all to basically come out, pushed his document to be released on Himpleton's stream on the 10th of November to preemptively get ahead of everything. He claims to have misunderstood a screenshot given to him of Avalon, thinking that me and Avalon were gearing up for all of this to come out. However, if he genuinely thought this, he could have easily contacted Avalon on his own volition to clear things up. And Wolfgang even attempted to throw all blame onto Himpleton, when responsibility also completely lies on him, as it was very evident that in private, he was completely pushing for this all to come out.
It was always going to become public because of Internet Adjacent spreading the rumors to 3 commentators. And it's important to keep note. Internet Adjacent and I had only spoken once, and the one time that we spoke was on my stream. And context of that stream was that I was doing negative coverage on Parlo. He comes to me after that with all this stuff about wanting to put Parlo to the ground and that. He knew what he was doing. He went to the guy who had been talking negative about Parlo, and then essentially wanted me to platform allegations, and was going to go to Aiden and like all of these other drama farmers. He wanted to come to us and do this. He knew what he was doing, right? This guy's a grown adult.
So when this all eventually did get released, it put me in an extremely stressful and compromising position. I had initially believed that we agreed to make this private only a few days ago. However, the position I found myself in now was that I felt obligated to respond and to be as transparent as possible about everything that happened. Or I would run the risk of being ruthlessly attacked and seen as a liar if I didn't provide the full context in chat logs, or simply just ignore the situation. I knew that I'd be mocked despite the situation being extremely stressful and personal, and I felt as if there was not much I could do, despite mutuals in private telling me just to simply disengage. When the situation was gearing up to become a public affair, I was prodded to push my document out for people to understand my side, and due to poor judgment and a fear that if I didn't release my document I'd be labelled as a liar, I went through with it. I overshared in extensive details the context of the situation, and despite me displaying trigger warnings at the very start of the document to warn people about how serious this situation was, urging them to disengage if the topics were triggering, as it covered information to do with sexual assault that I experienced, that does not at all excuse the fact that I should have been a lot more restrictive in what I discussed due to my platform and the audience that I've cultivated. It was wholly irresponsible and extremely embarrassing looking back at this all. I overshared when it came to recounting details that day that offered zero necessary value to be included, such as bringing up Wolfgang's Cinderella, which has been memed upon now. Me doing this all, however, does not now fundamentally change the extremely serious nature of the situation that I had to endure, and people making absolutely vile comments about the situation only serve to minimize and water down the severity of Wolfgang's actions in the process. But again, this could have also easily been avoided if I didn't release the document, as this was essentially reputational self-destruction. As close friends also stated to me as well, creating a document like this should have been completely out the question. It was not done with malice, and what I did was absolutely not predatory like some people have attempted to maliciously frame it as, but by no means does that excuse how unprofessional this all was. Now, I'd like to make this abundantly clear that I never shared this document on my YouTube channel or my Discord server, but the damage was already done when I pushed it out on Twitter in response to what Wolfgang said without thinking. I should have sought legal counsel or advice privately, or had consulted more people I trusted with the creation of this document beforehand, and I fought only myself for that. It was no one else's responsibility other than mine at the age of 20. I have a habit of not thinking before I act and not understanding how my actions affect others and close friends in the process. When these people attempt to give me advice while I'm not in a good mental headspace, like what Guamgo did, I lash out and take it the wrong way because I cannot properly distinguish between both criticism and hate. So to Dio and Guamgo for how I conducted myself at the time, I do absolutely apologize. And I want to make it crystal clear as well that mental health is not and should not be an excuse for the way I mistreated friends, nor should my autism be used as a shield to reduce accountability.
Oh,
I
yeah,
absolutely messed
okay,
up,
that
and I'm
changes
not going to
everything.
deny that. Now, from Wolfgang's initial document, the largest outstanding claim against me was the fact that when me and him met along with other close friends, I paid for his passport and plane ticket that amounted to collectively £1,400, as well as a gaming laptop that was £1,600 after I made my GoFundMe on the 27th of September, with me having purchased an iPhone that was about £800 a few weeks prior on the 13th of September. Now, this was rightfully criticised by people on Twitter, and understandably it seemed as if I had used the funds from the GoFundMe to pay for the ticket and laptop, and appeared as if I maliciously scammed people and misappropriated the money for luxuries rather than necessities. However, this is not true. The payment for the phone was on the 13th of September. The payment for the plane ticket transpired on the 7th of October, and the gaming laptop was purchased on the 13th of October, all with my own money, not money from the GoFundMe. The funds from the GoFundMe were, however, transferred to my account on the 17th of October, after I verified my account on the 14th, meaning that I did not use the money garnered from the GoFundMe on the laptop, phone, or plane ticket. Now, while many people seem to think that I used the money from the fundraiser on the ticket and for this trip, which is simply not true, my actions were still absolutely worthy of criticism in their own right, so allow me to go over. My GoFundMe asked people willing enough to donate to me so I could use it for food and amenities such as rent, and also for potential other actions if I do decide to take them. When I created this GoFundMe, I did not consider my impulsive and irrational financial choices leading up to it. Despite only ever intending to use the funds generously donated to pay for food, rent, and amenities, it was imperative that I recognized that I needed to better handle my finances more responsibly at the time. I jumped the gun, didn't think before I acted, and regret conducting myself in that way. What I'm showing on screen right now is proof that the money garnered from the GoFundMe was used to pay for not only my university accommodation, since I was temporarily homeless, but also food, proving that the money wasn't misappropriated, and that my intent was never to spend the money on anything other than what I had advertised. What is also being provided right now on screen is proof that since the past month in October compared to now, I have been down over £4,500, further complicated by the fact that I was temporarily homeless due to a serious issue that transpired at my family's household to me. For a period of time, I had to stay at a friend's house for refuge after I ran out, and while I was making a police report about the incident. Now, you can absolutely criticize me for my horrible spending habits, especially for having paid an extensive amount of money on a plane ticket for such an embarrassing situation. I made a massive mistake, and I did genuinely fuck up. I don't want to be excused or defended for it, because I don't think I should be, and you shouldn't waste your time trying to excuse a situation as egregious as this. I was not at all transparent as I should have been about my finances, and that is inherently deceptive for me to have done. Despite a platform I have accommodated and a responsibility and influence that also comes with it, I proceed to continue to screw up time and time again on monolithic levels, and that has now caused to family, friends, and to people who have trusted me very much with their money and have donated to me because they believed I was initially at a worse financial point, and I didn't recognize the damage I had caused until now. I made excuses originally and dodged taking accountability in the original Discord call when I was first confronted, because I was so naive I simply couldn't understand what I did was fundamentally wrong. Money is fungible, so...
Okay, y'all, this is just a random game I found. Never mind, we're going to the Roblox Ranter way. But still,
if I
no
didn't
excuse
use
for
money
him.
on the ticket and laptop, the money I received from the GoFundMe essentially recuperated and replenished the loss, so that is absolutely worthy of criticism. I take full accountability for the act of scamming, deceiving my fans, and violating their trust in the process, and for that reason I have taken steps to give the money back, after I had my dad transfer funds from my account, which I'm actively using, to refund everyone who donated to the GoFundMe, and I will ensure to never make a GoFundMe again because I have the trust of my audience, and it simply cannot be amended. I'm not in a position where I should ever make a GoFundMe again. It takes a long time for people to regain trust in a situation like this. Right now, moving forward, I would take advice from close friends in private on how to deal with finances, and although the act was not malicious and I did not intend to purposely scam people, nor did I misappropriate the money, that does not at all excuse the situation whatsoever.
It's a convoluted scam, and it's mostly out of his own stupidity. I don't think he scammed people maliciously. I think he's just like, I think that Paulo is like a deeply narcissistic individual, so he doesn't really think through his actions or how they might impact other people.
Now, for context on why I bought this plane ticket for Internet Adjacent to meet me and why it was so expensive, it was because I was desperate for social contact because close family were actively threatening me about how I would in prison and be in prison, among with other horrific things which could potentially happen to me. And due to how stressful this situation was, I wanted to hold on to any sense of normalcy I had by having a social trip with friends and of course Internet Adjacent. Internet Adjacent 2 was equally desperate for a relationship and for this meetup, and behind my back he even brought up the idea of marrying me and eventually adopting children with me, which is completely ludicrous now, hearing this myself, and to which the YouTuber Alex Everett attests to hearing in court.
In voice chat, Wolfgang was like increasingly obsessive to the point where he was talking of like in our voice chat he was talking about wanting to get married to Paulo and wanting to adopt kids with him as well. That was something that he would talk about.
There was also partial hesitancy for me to purchase the plane ticket due to its price and me already being in a bad financial position, and the prices just continued to skyrocket as the days progressed, and I felt more and more pushed to get them in the window of opportunity we had available to meet, as all parties were extremely busy, and this was basically the only time that we were all free to meet.
It was quite one-sided, at least like in my experience. I mean, it was more and more obsessive over time, like to the point where
but still,
this trip was meant to be coming up, and it literally was just not getting booked, even though the date was like around the corner. And it came to a point where we were talking about like the airplane ticket prices like being like exponentially increasing, like the later you left it, and it got to a point where it didn't seem like the trip was going to go through because the price was just going through the roof, and it was like so close, and it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And as soon as it seemed like it wasn't going to happen, like just instantly, Wolfgang gets in everyone's DMs, including mine, posting pictures of himself in the hospital.
Also, if y'all have made it this far to the video, and if you don't know who I am, hi, I'm Rebel. I'm a dumb kid with dumb obsessions and stuff. Like, I like Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff. If you've seen my content, you know I'm not always childish, but sometimes childish on the weekends. So yeah, let's continue back to the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what you think about this situation, and let me know there. Ah!
It seemed like the trip was back on. So, like, honestly, I am inclined to think that Paulo was... I mean, it's still a massively irresponsible use of, like, donated funds, right? But I do think that Paulo was at least slightly in a way. Because it, like... At least in my experience, it seemed almost like Wolfgang's life hinged on whether he was going to be able to come to England or not.
However, the payment on that ticket and passport were ridiculously expensive and ate away at my funds, which were already decreasing, while I had no revenue flow due to my channel having 2 strikes and me being fearful of a third. So most of the videos were privated, and due to this, I was receiving no passive income. Now, you'd be absolutely right in stating how this all perfectly shows how desperate, pathetic, and embarrassingly lonely I was. I do not deny that, and I do not argue with the fact that many people right now may not take me seriously and perceive me in a much different light. And there's nothing much I can do other than embrace the surrealism of the situation I have now put myself in. Now, for context on why I bought the phone and laptop, I wanted new devices for communication. After the police confiscated my old ones back in September after the false police report, the phone was obviously important to take calls with friends and family, and a laptop was vital because I would use it for video creation and editing new videos. This was because I was in a tough financial spot, and I wanted the ability to create more content so I could have a stream of revenue again, hence why I later wanted wanted to create content for Guamga. However, in regards to all of this, I was extremely negligent and not transparent when it came to purchasing the ticket, phone, and laptop, and I genuinely did not see this as a contention point at the time because I was already in a bad financial situation and was incredibly desperate. It was a severe case of tunnel vision, which I'm incredibly sorry.
Okay, so here, me, I'm American. I'm also a little bit British because Americans are British. I don't know anything about British law, but I see this, like, I already know about the whole vaccination stuff, as I'm old enough to know this, but if y'all want my, like, what I feel about this situation is, I feel bad for the guy. I literally, look. At the time I was playing one of the first times I knew about Soldier and Love's actions, it was because of guess who? Parlo. So this guy let me know who bad people were on Roblox and never interact with them. But at the same time, his actions do not account for that. Like I said, I'm just a kid, but I'm also a YouTuber, and I know stuff about YouTube and stuff. I know how bots are on here. So, yeah. But his actions, like, I get it. He has autism. I don't know what British does with people who need special needs and stuff, but it's not any of my business. Some people just have to understand that other people's brains, especially people who have special needs, don't work the same as theirs. Okay, let's continue.
And I should be criticized for it. Also, again, I want to make this clear, I never claimed or advertised the fact that I was broke. However, I absolutely understand if people got that impression from the nature of the GoFundMe, and the fault is absolutely on me regardless. Now, I want to use this segment of the video to tackle the numerous lies and half-truths presented in Wolfgang's initial response video, as well as his incredibly dishonest and manipulative behavior, specifically with his interactions with his once close mutual Avalon, as well as his extremely negligent management of his Discord server that you'll come to find out.
Trying my best, man. Alright.
So,
I
so if you're trying your best and you genuinely cannot help yourself except lie, right? Would you consider that pathological?
yeah.
Yes. Right. Bro. Okay. Why should anyone trust you on any commentary situation if you're a pathological liar? Can you answer my question?
I mean, they shouldn't.
As you can see in the clip that I've just presented, Wolfgang openly...
Okay, so sorry for pausing the video again, like, under 5 minutes before, but this is still the same with Parlo. We don't know if we can trust him or Wolfgang or any of these commentary YouTubers. Did I just go backward? What the hell? Why did I just go backward? That was dumb. No! Let me back up! Okay, let's continue.
To being a pathological liar when it comes to his recounting of any situation. He will lie and twist situations to benefit himself no matter the repercussions, and that is extremely important to highlight moving forward when covering all of these allegations.
The entire claim is just downright false. I have been friends with Avalon for a very long time, and at no point had I ever been sexual or romantic towards him, nor was he that way towards me. We were never like that. It wasn't until after he turned 18 that Avalon started coming to me and offering the idea of a three between me, him, and Parlo.
Now, in Wolfgang's response video, he highlights that he was never explicitly around Avalon until he was 18 years of age, and that Avalon came on to him in regards to this entire topic of...
Okay, let's continue.
Planned way. This is categorically untrue and a complete lie. Avalon turned 18 on September the 30th, and Wolfgang is seen acknowledging his birthday in a Discord group chat. Wolfgang himself was 21 years of age, being born on the 31st of March 2004, with there being a 3.5-year age gap between them. And even according to Wolfgang himself, he knew Avalon since he was 16. Here's a clip.
How old was Avalon when you first met him?
I think he was around 6.
So you became friends with him when he was 16.
Now, in DMs provided by Avalon to me on the 25th of November, it comprehensively proves that Wolfgang was openly pushing the idea of a free privately to him while he was still 17 years of age. On the 22nd of September, while Avalon was still 17, he was seen messaging his friend Crypt. In these DMs, he posted a screenshot of Wolfgang having forwarded a message between me and him discussing a hypothetical. This message sent by Wolfgang to Avalon was at 10:01 p.m. GMT. And as you can clearly see, Avalon posted the screenshot to his friend Crypt at the exact same time, with a reaction gif clearly showing that he was uninterested in Wolfgang's very obvious answers towards him. What's even more important to highlight is that Wolfgang actively removed this screenshot from his DMs with Avalon at an undisclosed time. He most likely did this because it completely shatters his argument in his response video, where he openly lied about not sexually engaging with Avalon until he was 18.
And at no point had I ever been sexual or romantic towards him, nor was he that way towards me. We were never like that. It wasn't until after he turned 18 that Avalon started coming to me.
And if you match the time that this screenshot was sent, you can clearly see that Wolfgang attempted to call Avalon to get his attention a few minutes beforehand, but the screenshot he sent after about the was conveniently expunged with only DMs the following day being present. In his interview with Himbleton 2, Wolfgang directly concedes that he was being with Avalon while he was underage. This same admission transpired on other commentary streams where he was confronted about this exact same situation as well.
And we both acknowledge that it's your responsibility as the adult in the situation to know stuff, to be responsible enough to, like, not... Yeah. And, like, regardless of that fact, it is still true that you were bringing up situations with Avalon before he turned 18, correct?
You lied to Malcolm because you said that you'd never had any conversations with Avalon before he turned 18.
We discussed, the thing, but that was about the extent of it. I never directed it towards him.
I just talked about the prospect that me and Parlo would do that.
Further screenshots provided by Avalon on the 25th of September when he was still 17 shows him relaying directly what Wolfgang had said to him in calls. In his DMs of Crypt, Avalon phrases what Wolfgang told him.
Okay, Parlo.
To which Avalon is seen posting a gif expressing how uncomfortable he was with this conversation, and to which Crypt expresses how this would even work. Keep in mind, while Wolfgang was actively pushing for Avalon to engage in this dynamic when he was 17, I was not aware of this at the time, and I will highlight more about this later. These messages also prove that Avalon was not willing to engage in a free, and that Wolfgang openly lied when he claimed that Avalon came to him first. Hence why in his response video, he provides no evidence to back up his claims whatsoever. Furthermore, Avalon has even attested publicly that this is completely untrue. It is abundantly clear that Wolfgang deliberately misinterpreted Avalon allegedly asking for more clarification about the situation, and twisted it to be him fully willing to engage. He threw his close friend he knew for years under the bus and blamed him for engaging first to create a cover for his own actions. It is also vital to bring up how Wolfgang has recently admitted on stream that he was discussing Avalon's relationship dynamic with his boyfriend Spa, and the topics to do with sex while he was still 17, to which he admits is both irresponsible and he has no excuse for.
Why are you having conversations about sex and relationships? And I'm not doing the age gap thing. But, it's a 17-year-old. This is your channel manager. This is someone that you've known since they were 16, and you're claiming that you're like, oh, you shouldn't post these femboy photos. But then you're talking about them, about their relationships, and why are you doing that?
I don't really have a good explanation. It's
Bless me.
Well, you could try it. I should not have done that.
You told me that, you never discussed anything, in relationship dynamics. Yeah. And, talking about when still a 17-year-old, that's exactly, talking about topics, right?
What is okay?
Alright, y'all, I'm done for right now. This will be saved to my watch later, so... Duh. So yeah, I'm gonna post this now in 3, 2, 1.